1. Jibril. He steps into the room. He carries words that burn in his hands. He stands before the Prophet and begins to speak. This is Jibril. The Quran names him in Surah 2, verse 97. It calls him the Spirit of Holiness who brings the book down from God. He carries the text from the heavens to the heart of the Prophet. But the sources show him doing more than delivery. The Mi'raj accounts recorded in the Sahih collections describe him appearing to prophets in moments of intense testing. He does not simply drop the message and disappear. He stays. He reads the words alongside the Prophet. He sits with him in the dark. He verifies that the experience is real and that the message is intact. Early Sirah and tafsir literature preserve these close encounters. In them, Jibril questions the Prophet to confirm his state. He examines him to certify his authenticity. He appears not only as the messenger who brings the revelation, but as the examiner who tests the receiver. He produces the text and authenticates it. The Quran records the delivery in 297. The Hadith records the examination in the Mi'raj narratives. Together they show an angel who fixes the authority of the scripture by his physical presence and his verbal testing. Because of this, the revelation arrives with a named witness. The prophetic experience is not left alone. It comes with an angel who checks the work and confirms the account. His presence produces the record that stands. The link between heaven and earth has a name, and he verifies every word before it enters the world. 2. Mika'il. He stands before the storehouses. He holds the key to the rain. When he turns it, water falls on the fields. This is Mika'il. The traditions name him as an archangel. Classical tafsir from Ibn Kathir and Al-Tabari describe his specific assignment. He does not carry revelation to prophets. He carries the sustenance that keeps creation alive. He manages the clouds. He directs the winds that push storms over mountains. He watches over the seeds that break through the soil and become wheat. Many readers expect a warrior. They picture Michael with a sword drawn for battle, fighting wars in heaven. But the Islamic sources show the opposite. They present Mika'il as the custodian of provision. He links divine mercy to the rain filling the rivers. He connects heaven to the bread on the table. The texts do not assign him to military campaigns. They assign him to nourishment. He oversees the delivery of water and food to every living creature. This means the sources place a named angel behind daily life. Every rainfall is a delivery from those storehouses. Every harvest is an assignment completed. The wind does not blow by accident. The crops do not grow by chance. The texts make angelic agency visible in the weather and in the filling of a stomach. He holds the key. The clouds open. The world stays fed because he keeps his post. 3. Israfil. He stands with the trumpet at his lips. His hands do not lower it. He has held it there since the command was given. He waits. He breathes slowly. The Quran does not speak his name. But the Mi'raj narratives and hadith collections preserved in tafsir do. Ibn Kathir and other classical commentators record him as Israfil. He is the one appointed to the horn. He stands in the traditions as the final signal, the being who will blow when the appointed hour arrives. Most accounts give him one duty: blow the trumpet, sound the end, signal the resurrection. But some strands in the eschatological literature assign him a second proximity. They place him near the preserved tablet, the Lawh al-Mahfuz where destiny is written. In these reports he is not only the one who sounds the ending, he is tied to the knowledge of when. He stands close to the record or guards the timing itself. The destiny script and the final trumpet share the same angel in these sources. He is the signal and the keeper of the appointment. When that breath finally comes, the earth fills with sound, the mountains crumble, the graves open, the dead stand for their account. His single note collapses the present age and begins the reckoning. He stands there in the texts, trumpet raised, marking the boundary between now and then. When he breathes, the mountains crumble, the graves open, and the dead stand for their account. 4. Azrael. He waits for the signal. He opens the book. He runs his finger down the page. He finds the name. Then he moves. This is the angel of death. The Quran speaks of him in Surah 32, verse 11. It calls him the angel of death who takes the souls. Later, tafsir and hadith traditions give him the name Azrael. He does not act alone. He receives specific permission before he approaches any body. The traditions describe a precise procedure. Azrael comes to the bedside. He stands over the dying person. But before he reaches for the soul, he performs a documentary ritual. He consults a register. He reads a list of allotted names and appointed lifespans. The sources describe him checking the book to confirm the exact moment. He verifies the name against the written term. Only after reading does he complete the extraction. Death is not random. It is an executed order with paperwork. The angel arrives as an executor carrying out a written command. Each removal follows a prior entry in a record. Every soul leaves only after the angel reads the name aloud or confirms it in the book. When he takes the soul, the life ends. The body remains. The record closes. The Quran places this angel at the end of every life in 32:11. The later sources name him and add the register. Together they show death as a named procedural act performed by an angel who reads before he acts. The book closes, the name is checked, the breath stops. 5. Munkar and Nakir. They push through the dirt. They stand over the body. The soil shifts. They wake the dead with questions that shake the bones. These are Munkar and Nakir. The hadith collections name them, including Tirmidhi and other authenticated works. They are two distinct angels who enter the grave immediately after the last shovel of earth is thrown. They do not wait for the soul to settle. They do not whisper from a distance. They stand directly over the deceased and interrogate him about his Lord, his religion, and the prophet sent to him. The questions come hard and fast. Who is your Lord? What is your religion? Who was that man sent to you? The answers determine everything that follows. Some chains in the hadith literature describe not a single moment of pain, but a daily punishment that repeats. They speak of the grave constricting until the ribs cross over each other. They mention a pit of fire opened within the earth, or vipers that appear with venomous bites, or scorching winds that strip the skin. The grave becomes an active courtroom, not a silent vault. It is a forensic scene where the interrogation continues, the evidence is weighed, and the sentence begins immediately and repeats. For the righteous the space widens, a door opens to paradise. Light enters and fragrance fills the narrow space. For the unprepared, the constriction starts the moment the angels finish their questions and does not stop. The two angels administer this directly. They are not passive witnesses recording events. They are the active officers of the immediate afterlife, delivering the first concrete consequence before the trumpet ever sounds. They ask the questions. The earth itself responds with expansion or crushing pressure. The dead receive their first verdict while the living walk away ignorant of the trial happening beneath their feet. If this list of named angels in Islam is opening your eyes to what Islamic sources actually say, subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like. That's what makes YouTube show this to more people. Let's keep going. 6. Ridwan. He stands at the Golden Gate. He holds the keys in his hand. When the blessed arrive, he turns the lock and opens the door himself. This is Ridwan. The later tafsir traditions name him as the keeper of paradise. Ibn Kathir and other classical commentators describe him as the officer who guards the entrance to Jannah. He does not merely watch from a distance. He acts as the personal host who admits the saved into the garden. The sources place him in a specific role. He greets the souls who have passed the reckoning. He speaks to them directly. He welcomes them into the abode they have earned. The narratives describe this as a named, personal reception. The keeper of paradise shakes their hands or speaks words of peace as they cross the threshold. His name never appears in the Quran. The Quran speaks of paradise and its pleasures, but it does not name its gatekeeper. Ridwan emerges entirely from the layers of exegesis and sirah. The interpretive traditions and biographical literature expanded the scriptural account. Ibn Kathir and other scholars personalized the administration of the afterlife by giving this guardian a specific name and a visible function. Because of this later naming, entry into paradise becomes a concrete act overseen by a specific angelic officer. The saved do not wander in alone. Ridwan stands there to receive them, turning the key, opening the gate, and personally conducting them into the garden. He stands at the entrance with the keys in his hand, admitting each soul by name. 7. Malik. He stands at the iron door. The fire roars behind him. The condemned inside cry out to him. They beg for death. They beg for release. He listens. Then he refuses. This is Malik. The Quran mentions him in Surah 43, verse 77. The verse places him in the context of hell, where the dwellers cry to him for relief. Classical tafsir from Ibn Kathir and Al-Tabari expand this mention into a named guardian. They describe him as the keeper assigned to manage the punishment and to guard the gate that no one may pass. The Quranic text could be read impersonally. It might speak of an angel or a king as a vague concept, but the exegesis makes a decisive move. It turns the description into a specific named being who performs a concrete refusal. Malik personally tells the damned they must remain. He rejects their pleas for annihilation. He does not open the gate on his own authority. He does not possess the key to mercy. He waits for a command from God alone. Only when God orders otherwise will he permit any exit. He oversees every procedure inside. He executes the punishment exactly as ordered. He maintains the imprisonment with absolute precision. The sources show him as the judicial administrator who enforces the sentence down to the last detail, never stepping outside his commission. He stands there unmoving while the cries continue. The door remains locked. No soul leaves until the command comes from above. 8. Kiraman Katibin, Raqib and Atid. They sit on the right shoulder and the left. One writes the good deeds, one writes the bad. They do not blink, they do not miss a whisper. They stay awake when the person sleeps. These are the Kiraman Katibin, the noble recorders. The Quran speaks of them in Surah 50 verses 17 and 18. It says a watcher sits on the right and on the left, ready to record everything. Classical tafsir from Ibn Kathir and hadith commentary give them specific names, Raqib and Atid. Raqib watches from above. Atid is ready and waiting with his pen. Most people imagine simple bookkeeping. A list of sins and good acts is kept for quiet reference, but the sources show something else. The records these angels produce are not filed away for storage. They become the evidence in a legal courtroom. On the day of judgment, the books are opened and read aloud as forensic proof. Every entry is cited. Every whisper is presented as material evidence against or for the soul. The angels sit as witnesses while their handwriting determines the verdict and the final destination. They record the secret thought and the public act with equal precision. The pages fill with details the person forgot they had spoken, the tone of voice, the hidden glance. When the reckoning comes, these books are not summaries. They are the complete files read back to the soul with exact dates and times. The books open. The words speak. The judgment follows exactly what they wrote. 9. Harut and Marut. They sit in Babylon. They teach the people magic. But before they open the book, they speak a warning. They say this knowledge is a test. They say do not use it to harm. Then they teach anyway. The Quran names them in Surah 2 verse 102. It says Harut and Marut taught magic that separates a man from his wife. But the verse is short. It does not say what kind of beings they are. It does not say if they were angels or men or something else. The tafsir traditions expand the story. Ibn Kathir and Al-Tabari record the debate. Some scholars insist they were angels sent down to teach magic as a trial for humanity. Others say they were human kings. Others suggest they were fallen rebels who taught against God's will. The sources do not pick one answer. They preserve the fight itself. The texts name Harut and Marut, but they refuse to give a clean label. They force the hard question. Can angels teach harm as a test? Do angels have free will to disobey? The dispute asks, who is responsible when knowledge is used for evil? The teacher who warned or the student who chose to learn? They become the test case. Every argument about angelic nature and human choice in the sources seems to pass through these two names. They stand at the door of interpretation, challenging every reader to decide what they mean and who bears the blame. The door stays open. The dispute forces readers to point a finger. Was the blame on the teacher who warned and taught, or the student who learned and harmed? 9 named angel persons, each with a precise job in the sources. They fall into 4 concrete roles: Jibril delivering and certifying revelation to the prophets, and Israfil standing ready with the trumpet. Mika'il holding the keys to rain and provision. Raqib and Atid writing every whisper in forensic books. Azrael consulting the register of names before each death, and Munkar with Nakir interrogating the dead in their graves. Ridwan admitting the blessed into paradise. Malik refusing the pleas of the condemned at hell's door, and Harut and Marut triggering the unresolved debate about whether angels can teach or test. Taken together, they show how naming assigns responsibility. A written name channels power and blame toward a specific person. Once a name is entered in the record, it shapes who will answer for what happens. If this opened your eyes to something you didn't know about Islam, share it with someone who needs to see this. Like, subscribe if you haven't. See you in the next one.